Welcome to Two Bitches and a Broom podcast.
With your host, Charli and Krys.
All right.
Thanks so much for joining us. For today's podcast, I thought it would be cool if we introduced ourselves and give you a little bit of background information. As I said, my name is Charli. I'm a shamanic mentor and a Kundalini Dragonfire master mentor. Boy, is that a mouthful. I started in metaphysics.
Say that 5 times fast.
I know, right? That's a mouthful. I started in metaphysics when I was just a teen. Actually, I had a 4-wheeler accident. I was clinically dead for a little over 6 minutes. I honestly don't remember much before that time, but it was after that event when I could see, hear, communicate with spirit. It was a very confusing time in my life, and I honestly had no idea why other people couldn't experience the things that I did. It began my very long quest into metaphysics. I eventually found my mentor, began my journey into shamanism while I was in college, which I was studying to become an English professor. Yeah, go figure, right? I took a class that I thought would be an easy A, those filler courses. That's what we always called them. We called them filler courses, like the easy A's. This particular one was, with religious studies. And to be honest with you, it really piqued my interest. And then I kind of went down that rabbit hole, and it really had me doing like a Mario Kart lap for the rest of my studies. And eventually I earned my doctorate in metaphysics. And then my ordination while I was actually working full time, and I was raising 5 kids. So it was kind of a blur, but I took a slew of classes. And I mean, I attended every class, every conference that I could within my financial means. And during that time, I also practiced solo. I was firmly in the broom closet, as they say, to all of my friends and family. Eventually, I got to the point where I couldn't hide what I was, who I was. It was the weight of that mask I presented to the world, and it just was far too heavy. And I felt like I was living a lie, a very uncomfortable one. So I finally came out to everyone that wasn't in those metaphysical circles. And that's when spirit began to push me towards teaching in metaphysics, which I promptly and effectively ignored. And I had that whole, who me, there's no way, I'm not good enough to do that. There's so much that I need to perfect. That's when I actually believed that you could perfect everything. I had that whole the great pretender thing going on that I really feel like so many practitioners face. But at the time, no one, and I mean nobody, talked about this. So I didn't have anything to base that experience on. In the 90s, this practice wasn't embraced. It was like weird, taboo, evil, even, and definitely not accepted for most of society. If not like the majority, almost everybody. So I kept getting pushed by my spirit team to get out there. So eventually I ventured out to work for someone in a shop instead of teaching. Now, mind you, I had long since completed my shamanic rites of passage, but for some reason, I didn't want the shop people to know. And in retrospect, now I get it. But at the time, I was like, I don't know why. I just don't want people to know. I was just going to be a reader and their shop, demonologist that could handle heavy energy clients that came in. I learned so much from that experience. I learned that there is a lot of people who are in this field who absolutely do not do this work out of the desire to serve spirit. There are people who are phony. There are people who are all about the competition. I mean, there was so much competition, it was crazy. And ultimately, I just was like, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to keep to myself, which obviously what didn't happen, because that's not my nature. You know me, I absolutely could not do that. So I eventually quit. I just couldn't. And then I just started taking clients in my home and the word spread. I had a lot of clients that would ask me, hey, how can I develop this? How can I do this? And their abilities or their awareness was just beginning to surface. And then eventually I had developmental circles. I wrote a few books in the metaphysical field that would help people that were just awakening. And then finally, I transitioned to offering classes and private services online and globally in 2013. And then I began offering shamanic rites of passage in 2015. And I've had what I believe is a very successful practice ever since. And here we are. Yay. So that's my about me. That's who I am and my background.
Okay. I don't have that fancy of a background, but I'm going to get to the stuff in my background, but then I have a couple of questions for you about your story.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. Okay. So, since as far back as I can remember, oh, by the way, my name is Krys. I'm an intuitive psychic medium, shamanic practitioner, spiritual soul alignment mentor. I guess I have a hard time taking the teacher label. I think mentor fits. Observer of all, forever student, master of none. So that's me. I'm pretty good at a lot of different things. So since as far back as I can remember, I've always been able to just sense and know things, feel energy, all of the stuff. I've had crazy experiences through the entirety of my life of seeing things move in your peripheral, out of the corner of your eye, physical reactions, emotional reactions, vibrational reactions to people and places, right? But back then, I just assumed that everybody, it's a normal thing. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
And everybody can do it. So, and picking up the energy of the room was something I also thought that everybody else could do. Like you'd walk in a place and it would be so tense and you would think, what the fuck? Like how is everybody just sitting here like nothing, And like, what the hell? So all of this, vivid dreams, all of the stuff, all of those experiences, I just assumed that it was just a normal thing that everyone can do it. Maybe just nobody talks about it. Maybe it's just not a thing that you vocalize. I don't know. But for me, it wasn't like all warm and fuzzy. Like you hear a lot of stories about it, oh, it's fantastic. And I spent conversation. No, I fucking was scared out of my mind. I had a lot of fear. I mean, I was deathly afraid of the dark because in the dark things got louder and the energy felt stronger, and it was never silent or peaceful or anything like that. So, you know, that's that. Um, the one thing that I knew I was different on was that I never actually felt my age my entire life. I never felt my age. I wasn't interested in the things that my peers at that time frame were
Mhm.
interested in. I
Same.
felt a connection. Yeah, I felt a connection to everything all at once, everyone. I mean, like, I would fucking apologize to the grass for sitting on it. So I'm so sorry that I just have to sit like, I'm so sorry.
I know.
that
I know.
that was me. That
Yeah.
was me. And you know, I carried a different perspective than people in my, my peers in my age group.
Mhm.
It was, I just coined it like the bird's eye view because I could see all the perspectives of situations. No matter what the details were, I could kind of see like behind the curtain of all of the parties involved, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was challenging because then I would always think I could never really form an opinion or cast judgment because you're always thinking, well, I mean, I can see where they came to that conclusion. I can see how this, that, and the other thing happened that led them to think that way, kind of stuff. So it was a lot of that really I started to see that wasn't a common thing that everybody was. Everybody's all in their emotions all the time. Not that I was never in my emotions, but it's just hard to have that perspective and then
Emotions.
formulate in, yeah, emotions. Who's that? So that was the challenging part, truly. But I was always fascinated with the metaphysical world.
Mhm.
You know, anytime there was talk of paranormal things, cultural, I'm an islander, so there's a lot of spiritualism
Mhm.
and superstition and things that go, what's it called? Like urban legend
Yeah.
stuff. And even though I was like scared as shit, I was like, ooh, what's that about? What's the
Yeah.
story with that?
Yeah.
I'm watching the movie like this, like, oh yeah, I want to see what that was me. I was that one. And I was so afraid, but I was so drawn to it at the same time. Um, through my adult years, I would have readings done, here and there every now and again.
Mhm.
And every time, I mean, some were fantastic, some were really great, some were not at all. It just nothing resonated, nothing felt connected in any kind of way. And some of the things that they would say were like, what the fuck? Like, that's not even, are you reading you, me, or the person next door? I don't understand, like, and it's not, I don't know.
I should
So,
not laugh, but that is so funny.
but it was like, I'm like, okay, like, here's thanks, but, all right. And, but the crazy thing was, every time that I sat for a reading, I always had this inner knowing, like, I could do this. Like, I could do this, you
Yeah.
know? Um, but unfortunately, fortunately, all of this kind of took a back seat because of all of the trauma that I had laid out on my path and everything I went to. It really was survival mode was more important than paying attention to anything ability wise, sensitivity, gifts, and all of that stuff. Um, and going through survival mode, you exist in that space. You really don't learn concepts of boundaries, self love, self care, any of the things that we talk about in shadow work now.
Right.
You're just trying to survive. You're just trying to fucking live.
Yeah.
Um,
Boy, do I ever.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So much later in life, really, is when I answered the call, as they say, after countless times that I slammed the door in spirit's face every time. It's like, hey, you want to come and pop on up? I'm like, fuck you, I ain't doing that shit. you know. So
Mm.
I reached the point of what I perceived was surrender. I reached the point where I was like, okay, obviously, I also have a Catholic background. So all of the advice I was getting from the religious side, from the metaphysical side, when I would go do readings here and there, and I would actually open up about a little bit of it, like
Mm-hmm.
none of it was working. None of it was working. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, side note, I didn't have boundaries, so duh, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the time, I'm like, you know, what the hell? Like nothing's working. Um, and that was the point where I was like, okay, fine, like let's see what this is about, I guess, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really good friend of mine come over with a psychic medium that she knew and did a cleansing of my house, and we talked about spirit and abilities and things like that. And
Right.
basically she opened the door, and you know, I waltzed my ass right through because I was like, all right, you know, this is what I'm doing. um
Now, when people said like, were you able to like adopt the psychic or medium label? Did that feel good? I had a hard time. I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I don't.
well,
Can I do psychic stuff? Yeah, but the label was weird. Can I do medium stuff? Sure, but that also felt weird. And then,
mhm.
doing like magical circles. When I studied with different people, and then I was like, I don't know if that label fits either. It was so weird because it felt like it was putting me in a very limited box. Like that's all
Right,
you
right.
can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. And then, you know, one hang up for me was I was comparing how I was receiving to Hollywood standards,
Oh yeah, that
to
that was that's
what you
fun.
see, you
Yeah.
know, so what you
Yeah.
see on TV, what you see in movies, and I was comparing my thing to that, and then I
Mm.
wasn't giving any credibility to my thing because I was like, well, don't I don't have that kind of experience. I don't get it in that way. So
You
maybe
didn't get
I'm
the
not.
penny going up the door.
Yeah, no, and no, like no penny went out the door, no,
In Ghost,
you know,
the
like
penny.
yeah,
Yeah.
no fucking flash in the mirror, you know, when I
Yeah.
look up from washing my face, like none of that stuff happened.
Yeah.
So I wasn't giving credit to what I was getting because I was like, well, my shit doesn't fit in that box.
Yeah,
So
I know.
apparently, maybe I just have more of a vivid imagination than I think, you know?
Yeah.
And that was another big hangup of like, well, you know, maybe I'm not. And then when you're, even though I have the religious background, I have the spiritual, superstitious, you know, island cultural kind of upbringing as well,
Mhm.
it wasn't something that was talked about in my house. Like I don't have memories of growing up hearing it on a regular basis. You know, like witch doctor was the only term I would ever really know. And
Mhm.
I'd be like, and even then I'm like, oh, you know, what's that? Ooh.
Ooh.
What does
Ooh.
that entail? Like, tell me, but don't tell me. Tell me, but don't tell me. That was me. Like, I want to know, but no, I don't want to know. So when I did, you know, I walked through the door, that opened up really just the everlasting search to understand, to know, to understand. And, but, you know, surprisingly, not surprisingly, uh, it also brought on more resistance for me because my path looked a certain way. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm only going to do,
Yeah.
I only choose to do A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So me and my guys, yeah, I'm not on the same fucking page at all.
Oh
No,
no.
like,
No.
yeah, no.
I
I'm the
swear.
toddler kicking all the way through every single time. That's me. Yeah.
Mine are going to be like, finally, when I died, you know, finally, it has been so long. We're
Like,
free,
seriously.
No.
It is. Seriously. I have like, you know, I'm like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure I got a lot of probably slaps waiting for me, a lot of like, you know, cussing out waiting for me. I'm pretty sure they're never
Well,
going to want to work with me
I'm glad
again.
they're waiting. to give that to you because
Right.
mine don't fuck around. I get it immediately. Like,
Because
like really? That's what
every
you
single
choose?
phase.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that doesn't work for me. No. And
Yeah.
they're like, bitch, if you don't get in line and start doing them, they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. So I found myself kind of backed into a corner every time because I'm
Mhm.
resisting. So, I went through that. I slowly started to come out of the spiritual closet, and I took workshops and classes, development stuff as much as I could, within my budget, and then within being a mom and a business owner, because
Yeah.
I had the idea that I was just going to I'm an esthetician as well, so I'm going to do aesthetics and then I'm going to die. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, this is what I choose to do, and then I'm just going to wait it out till I die. And really, when
Like I
I
never
said,
thought it was a career choice. Never. If
no,
you would have told
no,
20-year-old me that this would be a career, I would have been like, you are smoking crack. That is
right,
not a thing.
right.
That is
Like,
not a thing.
no, this really was just because none of the other shit was working. Nothing was stopping. I
Yeah.
couldn't get away from it. So, like, okay, let me start to embrace it, but I'm going to embrace it on my terms,
Hmm.
and kind of thing. And I kid you not, the minute I said yes, everything started changing. Everything started shifting.
Hmm.
So, I went through, I did Usui Holy Fire Reiki first. I went through that process. And then even doing facials and doing waxing, things started happening and things were coming up. So I would slowly make my way out of the closet, right? Like I had a client who her grandmother just passed one time. And
Hmm.
as she's talking, she's not even saying, she's just saying, like, oh, we have the funeral, no descriptions or details. And I'm
Right.
just like, oh my God, there's a lady here. And she looks like kind of a psychic medium. I was like, yeah, I can kind of, it's a little bit.
You're like,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And it was, I have since, my long path of a hard head makes a soft ass. I have a pretty good soft ass from every time I'm
Your
like,
ass is like jello.
yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. And my team is like, bet we're going to watch.
Watch. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're cute. Okay. You're cute. So I have since stopped resisting and just let it happen, which leads me to today where I find myself in this position of having clients, of doing readings, sessions, healing, shamanic practices. I find that I attract a lot of light workers who are newly awakened or have abilities that they don't recognize fully yet, or just I tend to get everybody who doesn't have a foundation yet, like
Mhm.
what do they call them, like newbies, like complete virgins to the path kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I started to get a lot of those kinds of people come my way. And I felt like a broken record because I just kept talking about connecting with your guides, building a foundation, learning boundaries. And I'm like, I should just make a recording and then just play it every time I come across somebody because that's just what was happening.
And this
Um,
is where the Taurian hard-headed, no, I'm not a teacher comes into play, even
right.
though it's like
Yeah.
smacking you in the face with every
Mm-hmm.
client. Teach me, teach me, teach me. I went through the same exact thing. I swear to God, I did. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And we're like, who, me? No.
Right.
No. Yeah. Oh, you totally froze
Ordinarily
up.
ordinary.
Oh, you froze
Yeah.
up. So you got to go
And
back. I didn't hear what you said.
oh, okay. So I said, we learn to live extraordinarily ordinary. So, but I think kind of like the darker side to that, the shadow side to that is that imposter syndrome of you think like, well, I'm just the average Joe, I'm a mom, I have a job, I have like,
Hmm.
1,000 things on my to-do list. I have to make dinner and clean the house, and all these things. So who am I to tell you anything about alignment and all of this stuff, and exercising your abilities and growing them and all of those things. So I
I
think
think that's really, really overlooked in this field. I mean, I do not think it's talked about enough because there's
no,
so many
no.
people out there that are, I know, I see them as clients that are coming to me and they're like, I don't think I'm good enough to be X, Y, and Z, or, it's that I feel like the great pretender, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like every single person that walks this path, I don't care who you are. And if you're not admitting it, you are full of shit because everybody experiences it at some point in their path. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like, no, no,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah. And it is. And I think this is why this podcast is such a great idea, because another thing that I noticed through it is, and I am guilty of this as well myself,
Mm-hmm.
when you are, take like my backstory where I have these abilities, but I was comparing it to other perceived notions of how it was going to look like or what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go and I would see, like, oh, this metaphysical shop has these readers. And I think, like, wow, they're, and it's that pedestal thing, right? Where, well, you're supposed to be so evolved, like
Yeah.
perfectionism,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be, and then like, and I noticed that even just with, not with all clients, but with some, I find that as practitioners, we tend to get put in a box of, we have all the answers, we know everything, we're so enlightened and
Yeah.
evolved and things like that. And I'm like, hell no. Like,
Yeah.
I have to have a human experience just like everybody else. And I
Exactly.
am not, you will never catch me, never say never, but I can 99.9999% tell you, you won't catch me singing fucking kumbaya, like hugs and joy and love, because that's just not me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's the perception of spirituality, there's that pedestal thing, that imposter syndrome, all of this like wrapping up into one.
I think it's authenticity, right? Because if and that's part of shadow work too, because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
really, if something is modeled to you and you're like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to behave if I want this position or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, then people just adhere to it. They accept it. They're putting on the mask of this is what a practitioner looks like.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate because I think if a lot of people tore the freaking mask off, they would be fantastic. Fantastic. It's the weight
Right.
of the mask that will
Mm-hmm.
absolutely alter your practice. People are going to love you just like you are. Just be brave enough to be yourself and not
Mm-hmm.
try to pretend, to be something else. I'm sure you say the same thing. Every time I have a
Yeah.
client, this is not about monkey see, monkey do. It's about how you're
Exactly.
taking the information, putting it into your practice, and you are furthering your connection. It's not the monkey see, monkey do. That is so
Mm-hmm.
full of crap, you
Oh
know?
yeah. And it's like I tell people, I'm a huge advocate. Take classes, take workshops, listen to lectures
Mm-hmm.
of all walks, of all things, because what you do is you take a little bit of here, a little bit of here, you sit with all of it, and you kind of formulate your own way, what feels good to you. And what resonates with you now may not resonate with you in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, you know? And it is like, and I find too, it's so interesting that I find with intuitive healers that they've spent so many years, myself included,
Mm-hmm.
fitting the role of what, because you're trying to like fit in different areas and sectors and try to understand why you can't really. find your core group, or like I can't really just be stuck in I can't be stuck in one area with one type of group or anything like that.
Right.
That when you do come into your alignment, your awakening, you also fall right back into that thing too of trying to look like what a healer should look like,
Oh yeah.
talk like what a
Yeah.
healer should talk
Oh
like,
my gosh. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, no, no. If I go to a circle and they're like, we're gonna do hugs, I'm like, no, no, because
We're
don't
gonna
touch
do
me.
personal space.
It's been like,
Personal
no, no,
space.
don't touch me, because I don't play like that. Even before, I'm like, that's just me, and
Uh-huh.
that's okay. So I
Sure.
think, I really feel like this podcast and doing this and really just putting this out there is so fantastic, because it's showing the other side of, like, the real side, the authentic side.
And that has been like, I've been very transparent with you, and I've had lots of opportunities, and I did have a podcast and I stepped down from that because I want my autonomy. I want to make my own decisions. I want to be able to say what I want to say. I don't want to have to worry about if any words are going to be offensive to, anybody else, or look poorly upon the people that are
Mm-hmm,
backing me,
mm-hmm,
in any
mm-hmm,
way, shape, or form. Um, and I think that there is so much stuff as practitioners we're already again, like up against, you know,
mm-hmm.
why add more crap to it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, why
yeah.
not? I think there's a lot of amazing people out there that are absolutely amazing practitioners. I'm not like dogging anybody. I think they're amazing, but I would love for more authenticity. Like I'm telling you, sunshine, rainbows do not shoot out my ass 24/7. It's not a thing. And it seems like that's really a lot of what is modeled. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I have a wonderful connection with spirit. I love my connection. I love my position. I love my career choice. And there are days where I literally am not in a good mood. It is called the human experience. That doesn't mean I'm bad at my position. It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
I have a bad connection. That means I'm having a human experience. And
Right.
that to
Yeah.
me is authentic.
Yeah.
There's so many times when people are like, oh, light and love, and you must be light and you must be light. I must not be shit. I have two things in life I have to do: be white and die. That's it. The rest is up for grabs. I mean,
Right.
that's it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but
Yeah. I think
authenticity is important.
it's like, when you, it's like driving down the road, right? You're having the human experience, and it's just your awareness through the process of alignment that shifts. So, perfection is an illusion. We
Yeah,
all get pretty good every day. We just get pretty damn good all the time at stuff. And it is like, I'm absolutely, somebody will cut me off and I'll be like, what the fuck? Be safe. Be safe. But it is absolutely not all love and light. Otherwise, why would we be existing on this plane, this realm that hosts so many levels of souls and experiences?
yeah,
Not, it's not a kumbaya place. It's not all peace, love, light, and unity, because there is so many different levels of souls that all congregate to one area, and we have to
sure.
learn how to coexist.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it
I
is. I
do I don't want to give the illusion. I do wake up feeling gratitude. I do wake up feeling
Sure.
joy. I do
Yeah.
have that. But there are, you know, there are moments where your kids are going to drive you nuts. You know, there's
Mm-hmm.
moments where you're late for an event and you're like, oh man, yeah, it's not like I'm driving and I'm late for an event and I'm going, wow, everything is perfect. No, I'm not doing that. I
Right.
assure
No.
you, I am not doing that. I am
I I'm
absolutely having
stressed.
the time. I am
Yeah.
co-creating, going, I have all the time in the world, all the time in the world. That's
Oh,
what
see,
I'm
you're better
doing.
than me on that because I would be stressed until I reach my fuck it point. Then I reach my fuck it point. I'm like, whatever. I'm late. I'm late.
Yeah, it's like a real, I have seen, especially, since I don't even know if we can say that. I might have to blurb that out. I don't know. But there has been like this huge explosion of people that have come out and like, hey, me
Oh
too.
yeah.
I also am gifted. I'm also awake. Huge explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that comes a lot of people who are firmly placing on the mask and then modeling that. And because it is your everyday Joe, it's
Mm-hmm.
reinforcing, oh, you have to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that is I just like that irks my nerves with the idea of putting on the mask and the perfectionism and how a, an awake person is supposed to act and supposed to be, because that is literally not even the purpose of existence here.
Mm-hmm.
That you
No.
can't, it's like someone who is constantly being presented one of their soul lessons, whatever it
Yeah.
is. And they're just like, I'm just, good vibe. Oh, fucking A, man. Good vibes only, kind of thing. I'm just like, I'm done. Like, let me go. it, no,
Take
it's
me
not.
now.
Yeah, like it is not good vibes only. Shoo away all the bad. It is acknowledging that's rising within. Because if you can't
Right.
even acknowledge it, you can't process it.
Yeah.
So it's the experience. It's the experience, and everything brings value to your table. So, man, it is a lot. I'm happy we're doing this because I'm happy that it's a space to talk about both of our experiences. And I know I'm pretty confident I can speak for you on this part where, we're both have that Taurus, like, no, I'm gonna
Oh,
do it
yeah.
my way,
Yeah.
hard
So
headed.
we should probably say that to the viewers too. So I'm Taurus sun, Sagittarius moon, and Chris is a Sagittarius sun, Taurus moon. So we like
Mm-hmm.
fit like a little glove. That's why
Yeah.
we work so well together. And this is, you've been wanting for a while. You've been more or less provoked by spirit for a while to do a podcast. I have, but
Mm-hmm.
I do not want, again, what's modeled out there. I don't want that. I want it to be very natural, very organic, and real topics, and the stuff that people don't want to talk about or they avoid, or things of that nature. Just,
Mm-hmm.
again, authentic, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like, gosh, at least for the last 3, 4 years, maybe, I've kept hearing, create a podcast, get out there, do this, do that. And I was like, no, 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 I don't like the spotlight. I'm good. I like to stay in the background and work and then, go on my merry way.
Yeah.
That's me,
Yeah.
don't bother me.
Yeah.
So,
You're like, I'm
but
gonna stay back here.
like,
You're gonna do.
I just like to do what I got to do. I pop in, I pop out. That's it,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. But I feel like, especially since the mass awakening via
Mm-hmm.
it's needed authenticity is needed. I'm like, whenever I'm working with anybody, I always come with, we have usual practitioner disclaimers, right? Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not this, I'm not that, do what you will with it, whatever.
Yeah.
But I come with extra disclaimers because I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass. I cuss.
No, no.
Maybe a little too much, but not as much as I used to. So I'm proud of myself for that. And, I am just going to say things like it is. And I say everything with love, and I lovingly don't care what you choose to do with it. Not my show, yours.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is what is needed in the collective to be shown, is that we all have our own uniqueness, and it is not going to look packaged up and pretty in a bow.
Exactly.
Like it's like you ever see that? I don't know if you ever did this when your kids were younger, but having the Christmas tree and you have to have all the matching presents underneath, and it's all color code, like the wrappers and everything is all color coordinated. I'm like, that's not life.
No.
That's not life.
No.
And your package isn't going to look like the next person.
No.
It's
absolutely not. It's absolutely not. I think that I'm super happy that this is like the very first topic. It just organically kind of unfolded with the introduction. And I feel like that's an excellent statement, just authenticity. We need it. We really, really need it in this field.
Oh yeah.
There's no such thing as perfection. That is a freaking illusion. The people that are modeling it, I will pray for you. I will pray for you.
Like literally.
Yeah, I will pray for you. But it's an unrealistic expectation. And what may be perfect for me is not going to be perfect for you or the guy down the street.
Right.
It's just not. Or what could be a healthy practice for me may not be that way for you or the guy down the street. And I think that comparison is where everybody screws up. Because the moment I compare my practice to yours is the moment that I go, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I need to change. And that is where like that very first shadow is born out of that fear of not being good enough or measuring up to these weird illusionary expectations. Because I promise you, when God made you, whoever your God is, whoever you may perceive that to be, he didn't make a mistake. He doesn't make mistakes. He, she, the universe, whatever, doesn't make mistakes. You were designed perfectly for your purpose. You don't have to change, dude. You don't have to change anything. Like, that's how I look at it. When I do stuff and my team will sit there and they'll like fold their arms and won't say a word. They'll just give me this very stern look. That happens quite a bit. And they're waiting for me to kind of figure my shit out. And I'm like, he knew what he did when he created me. And you knew too, because you signed up for me. So I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, that's what I say. I'm like, you know what? You know me. You knew exactly what you were getting into. You knew this fuckery was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, like, really, you knew. You handed me one too many servings of that. So too many servings of that. So
whose fault really is it?
I know. But I really think that if we, internally question more instead of copying, holy crap, how wonderful would that be?
Right.
We just stopped and we said, does that make me feel good? Does this feel good to me by doing it this way? Like, I question everything. I always tell all of my students, question everything. Everything.
It's a constant conversation.
Yeah.
You converse with your, and I hear this a lot too with some people when we talk about connecting with guides and connecting with your team, and they are like, well, I don't know how do you talk to your best friend when something's happening?
I know.
I'm like, oh, trust me, I have the experience. Sometimes I'll go and I'll be like, yeah, everybody right now, what the fuck is happening? And I've had the team meeting right now. What is going on? And I've had those experiences too, where I'm just like, man, working through some shadow, things are shifting and not going my way, stuff like that. And I'm frustrated, and they're throwing me all these signs, and I'm like, to all the signs.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're like, you're loved. I'm like,
oh, I used to do like, show me, I can remember, show me, and I would give an example, and for a while it was a feather, because in 91 feathers, I heard it somewhere from a psychic, right? So I said, oh, I'm going to use feathers. Okay, show me a feather. If I'm supposed to. And then I would see a feather, and then I'd be like, well, no, show me another one. And I would do that like 2 or 3 times. I swear to God, I would.
I mean,
it was like,
that's probably because a bird just, like, no, that's not looking, like, confirm the first feather, please.
Yeah, I know.
And then they confirm it, and you're like, confirm that feather to that feather.
I swear to you, I do not know how they didn't launch an entire bird directly at my face at some point. Like,
here's your bitch.
Feathers,
Have all of the feathers.
Oh my God. Like, okay, but can I have another? You know what I mean?
Just,
are you
sure?
Absolutely. I was that person.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I will forever be grateful for my team. I know they have worked their ass off, and I still feel sorry.
Right.
I still
say all
sorry.
the time, like, I know you say it too, because we're both like, man, they make me look so good.
Oh yeah. They
make me look so good because no. And I think also it's like a great thing of doing this podcast, of being free to express and just talk about different subjects, both sharing our experiences, because I did everything ass backwards. I know you did everything ass backwards.
Oh my God, yeah.
And we have to learn the hard way about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it's definitely formulated the way that I know you teach, and the way that I guide is this based off of, like, I don't want you to do the same shit I did.
Yeah, no.
So let me do you a favor. Like, don't do
like
as I did.
Like, and I've said that all the time. I think I'm good. I think I'm really good at what I do because I've made all the mistakes, and I can see them before you even step into it. I've created the pitfalls that I know are there.
Right.
I made those. You know what I mean?
I got a souvenir at every single one. So let me help you not collect
that's my footprint. Be careful. Step over that, Yeah, and it's like 1992 right there. Don't just ignore that one.
Just go right past that one, expressway through that one, because you don't want that. You don't want that headache. And really, it is like, and two, I think one great thing with this is when we share our experiences, and we're just in this space to be real and to just be who we are, and all of that, and share our knowledge that we've gained through the process.
Yeah.
I feel like it also too, like, helps, because I see this. I don't know if you have this experience too, but I do see, the average Joe awakened light worker, is the term is coined, and this pressure and expectation to get on a stage and perform and do this and that, right? And I tell all of them, this is why I say you learn to live extraordinarily ordinary.
Yeah.
Because aligning doesn't mean you have to. You can, your choice, but you don't have to have a treatment room. You don't have to do the readings. You can simply do it for yourself. You
Yeah.
can do it for family. You can just be the ripple, do your alignment so you can be the ripple effect
Yeah.
in a much more powerful way. And I think by us also sharing and then getting into topics as we produce episodes, is going to help a lot of people, especially those who don't know where to start or feel like they're alone in the things that they're experiencing, like you're not.
I know. And that's why I absolutely, that's why I have written the books that I have. That's why I teach the way I do. That's why we do the volunteer work that we don't talk about,
Mm-hmm.
but that's why, because I can remember being that person that was like, please, somebody hold my hand for just
Mm-hmm.
a minute and show me the next step. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just for 1 minute. And it's too confusing because especially now, back then for me, it was confusing. Now I would be a freaking
Oh, I
nutcase
can't.
because
Yeah.
there's so
It's
many different things.
There's
Like,
so many different things, so many. You can like Google anything, you can
oh,
YouTube anything, and it becomes, I know I have this experience, it became too much.
oh
And you
yeah.
fall down so many different rabbit holes. And in the beginning, in the very beginning of mine, I didn't know what the hell a foundation was. I didn't
Sure.
know anything. I didn't know, oh, what, well, I have to create boundaries. Oh, what's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I'm coming from a survival lifestyle and a survivalist experience.
Yeah.
What are boundaries? What do you mean?
Yeah.
I have the power to establish a boundary? What? You
Yeah.
know, and you do that in your physical life and it reflects how you do in your spiritual connection. Huh?
Yeah.
Riddle me this, Batman. How's that
Yeah.
work out?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of good information that, you and I both have in our experiences and walks of life, that it can be very helpful and beneficial for others who are like myself. I'm not the social butterfly type of person. I'm not gonna go and open share experiences to strangers and talk about things. Certain I will research the shit out of something before I actually go out and try and do something. So if I can come across a podcast like ours who are talking about, yeah, these are my experiences, here's the real of the real of
Mhm.
this, there's the light side but there's also the shadow side, we have to accept the duality of both, the yin and the yang,
Yeah.
and here's how you can navigate it. Don't fuck up the way I fucked up. I think that's so much value just in itself. But I actually, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to your story, your easy A class that you did. Do you have a memory or a point in that class where it really started to turn your sights onto exploring down? Because
I
I mean, like, I
Yep.
can't imagine walking into a shop and being like, we have a resident demonologist. I would be like, bye.
Well, I hid that too, though. I mean, I didn't want to like have this big entry and,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
going into detail. But the reality is when I went to that shop, I revealed that a little bit later after I had been there for a minute.
Mm,
And um it was that was such a big lesson for me. It was such a big and I have no regrets not saying anything.
mm-hmm.
And I learned a lot from that experience. Um, I am just a different type of person. I have a very, very high standard of practice, and I know that about myself. And I believe that you are who you associate with. I believe your
True. Yeah, I
energy,
agree with that.
yeah, your
Yeah.
energy is going to match who you associate with. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, energy exchange, you're talking, I'm talking, we're exchanging energy.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially we're becoming the same vibration, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Right.
that works. I'm
Yeah.
taking a little from you, you're taking a little from
Right.
me. That's how that works. Well, if you're in an environment like that shop, that was not good. That was not good. And I was like, I do not want to be like that. I just don't. I don't. And it didn't matter. And I know that you and I both understand setting boundaries and protection
Mm-hmm.
and prevention and all that stuff. But do you really want to work in an environment where you're opening up to spirit and you're in an environment like that? No, thank you.
Right. Right.
No, thank you. It was not good for me. It wasn't good for my team. It wasn't good for the people that I was servicing. No, no, absolutely not. It was not good, but it was a great lesson. And I learned a very valuable lesson from that, that I will not lower my standards no matter where I go, no matter where I live. I could be in a forest. I found this out. People will come to me. God will send them to me. I don't have to worry about it. It will be
Yeah.
fine. Do you know
Well,
what
I
I mean?
think, yeah, I think that's like too, I'm sure like with that experience, and correct me if I'm off track, but another great lesson in that kind of experience is trust. Because I'm sure along with just feeling the energy and the vibration of that particular place and the people involved, you're also thinking, this is my income, this is a job,
Mhm.
and should I make a move? Should I not make a move? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And trusting that you're still going to be upheld and you're still going to be taken care of, like that. I feel like people can relate even in just like 9 to 5 corporate world.
Mhm.
Should I, it's a toxic environment. Should I move? Should I not move? I don't know. But it's an income. And it comes down to also trusting that, like you said, you're going to be, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure you're going to be in the freaking desert and people are going to find you, you
And
know?
I think I was so naive because I had this thought that working there with like-minded people,
Mm,
and I'm out of the closet at this point and I'm with like-minded
mm-hmm.
people and kumbaya bitches, right? No, it was so competitive. And there was people that would be very friendly to my face, but again, you know me. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, friend, I can feel that. You know what I mean? I can feel that. And then
Yeah.
I I will not compete. I will not compete in any arena. I think that that is absurd. I have
Right, right,
nothing to prove. And
right.
there was this, I mean, this woman is fantastic. She was a medium, and I don't want to say her name, but fantastic. Love her to bits. Just really top notch. And they were saying things that were so awful, just awful about her behind her back. And they had said, well, what do you think? And I said, what do I think? I think that if you talk that way about her to me, I can only imagine how you must talk about me when I'm not here.
Yeah.
See,
Ooh.
I can't keep my mouth shut. I am just that person.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. I can't, because that was wrong. That was so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm talking top notch. She was really good at what she did. And I think it was jealousy. I really do. I don't understand that at all. I don't. I think everybody is so uniquely gifted, like
Mm-hmm.
it's so
Mm-hmm.
uniquely gifted. You're going to have clients that come to you because of what you bring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to respond to you. I'm going to have clients that desire what I bring because they respond to.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I don't understand why there is a competition with, I don't, there's like literally billions of people.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, there's
Short
like
supply. I don't know.
there is like billions. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just gonna say that. Like there literally is billions of people walking this plane
yeah,
at the moment.
yeah,
There is plenty. And
absolutely.
you know, yeah, you're going to attract those you're intended to work with that resonate with your vibration and your message and the way you deliver it.
Yeah,
And I'm going to do mine and the way that I deliver it, and it's going to like God's going to work all of that stuff out.
yeah,
I trust that as long as I'm doing what I have to do on my path, and like fucking man, stay in my own lane, focus on
yeah.
myself, that it's going to be great. It's not going to be perfect,
Right.
but it's going to work itself out. So, yeah, I've always thought I don't have that experience of working in a shop. I thought
I
about it, but
recommend
I
that
was just like,
every single person try it one time because it will
mm-hmm.
change your perspective so immensely. I'm not saying it's going to be a good experience or a bad experience. I'm
Right, right,
sure
right,
that there's places out there that are fantastic. That
right,
just
yeah,
so happened wasn't the lesson I needed in my life.
right, right,
I needed
yeah.
that because it did change me fundamentally. Because when I was done with that, I was like, yeah, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready because I know exactly what I don't
Mm.
want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you know when you like
Yeah.
start out and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, there's so many options of how you could be, I mean, and as a practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
This showed me clearly, definitively what I never wanted to be. Never,
And
never.
you wouldn't have got that had you not had that experience.
No,
Or,
because
I mean,
I
I'm
have
sure
only
at some
had
point you would, but
great
it,
experiences up into that,
yeah, yeah.
and I have practiced with many different paths, um, different sects, um, different groups, different circles, and they were all fantastic experiences. I never had one poor experience ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like this is fantastic. Every circle I attended, every conference I attended, every class I attended, that was all great. And that right there said, nope, guess what? Blinders off, you know? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend it. Try it
Hmm.
so you can see. It will teach you, if your lesson is like mine, I should be clear. It will
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so much about yourself as a practitioner. It'll teach you so much about your standards. And boy, oh boy, will you have excellent foundation for the boundaries you're going to put in place. You know?
Yeah. So, what about when you were taking your Easy A class? What
Oh, yeah.
about that really turned the corner for you?
Because I was in the middle of a class and I don't know how far into the class because we're approaching like 25 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
As a minute. It has been a minute. Actually, I think it's 27 years, but whatever. At some point during that class, there was a portion where they were talking about the differences between paganism and Christianity, and also what the word occult meant. And it was
Mm.
that which is hidden, right? And I went, huh, that's interesting. So
Hmm.
I've always been this person. That's why it's not like every single thing that drew my attention, I had to study. I had to know more about. I don't know why,
Mm-hmm.
but I always did that. So I would like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. I mean, billets. As soon as I heard about that, boy, did I have to, do you know what billets is? It's very old. It's very, very old school. So if you were to do a reading, somebody would put their name, like of the person that they wanted to hear from in spirit. They would put the name on there, and then they fold it up into these little tiny pieces of paper, and you throw them all in a basket. And then you kind of put your hand around, and you hold it. You don't get to look at it. You hold it in your hand. You grab the energy from that, and then that spirit comes forward and gives you all the information and tells you their name. Yeah, it's a really cool practice. So
that sounds kind of fun, actually.
It is. It's a lot of fun. But that's what I mean. That's just how I was. It was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Rabbit holing that. Oh, tea leaf reading. Rabbit holing that. That's always been my jam. That's why I've taken so many lessons. I think I'm just a nerd. I like to learn things, in this field. I could probably live a million lifetimes and still not know it all. I mean, you can.
Oh yeah, I would agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an expansive field. You can never know everything. And people who claim they know everything, get over yourself. There's too much. There's too much. There's too much.
There's way too much. There's always a layer and a layer and a layer and a layer.
Yeah.
Anybody that says, I have reached the epitome of my journey, and I am just here. Like I stop listening.
No,
immediately.
Happens,
I don't listen to anything.
Aren't we dead? Yeah. We learned everything we needed to know then. I mean, I just find that kind of laughable,
Yeah.
And I also think that's why, people in the shamanic field, when you get the title master mentor, right? You're like, I don't know about that, because, and that's actually a good thing, because then you are aware enough that there's so much more to learn. Right. So, yeah. But it was super awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast.
Yes. I'm looking forward to connecting, and I look forward to when, we get everything set up and we can have hear stories, questions, things like that in development. Like, oh my gosh, I love hearing experiences everybody else has, and kind of where they feel they fall back on or are struggling with, or anything like that. I appreciate everyone's time for joining us, for listening to both of us ramble about each of our stories. I hope this really gives just kind of a little sneak peek into both of our backgrounds, and you can get a taste of how we are and what our intention is with this podcast. So I think it was good first episode.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
Yeah. So any questions that anybody has, feel free, put them in the comments. You're putting this on Spotify too, right?
I am going to figure that out and load that
figure that out. All right. So
yes, I have started the process. So it will go onto Spotify. And then, any question, like Charli said, really any questions in the comments, we will have on Spotify and on the YouTube channel contact information for each of us. So, if you're interested in learning more, connecting with either of us for any of the routes and things that we both offer, you're going to have that on our details too, right? On the
absolutely. YouTube. But we should start now. So if anybody wanted to reach out to you personally, Krys, how can they connect with you?
So if you're interested in connecting with me and my fabulousness and learning more, or even just having a consultation or reading or healing or anything of the sort, you can check me out on my website. It is www.infinitesoultribe.com. I also have Instagram under the same name, Infinite Soul Tribe, and a private Facebook group, same name as well, Infinite Soul Tribe.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And
And if they want to reach out with you,
oh, I actually have mine right on the screen. I don't know if it will show up when I go to edit everything, but you're more than welcome to contact me at the Shamanic Paths, PATHS.com.
Yeah, so I appreciate everyone. Thank you for joining us and sharing space with both of us, listening to our stories. And yeah, until next time.
Thanks so much.